Hi, I'm Darrian Escobar-Winter. So we look around society. Death penalty is a must. As we look into a problem with society, we see crime has changed throughout our whole entire existence. What can we do to try and stop this madness? Many would say implement something to stop criminals from committing such a terrible crime. Others would say just let it go, which we have done for a long time now. But many reject the fact that the biggest crime stopper could possibly be that death penalty or capital punishment with that. We as a society have the unforeseeable thought that the death penalty would actually be a plus into stopping crime. But what matters most is our safety and our well-being, and we need to stop the craziness that happens in our world every single day. I get it. Some of you might see the death penalty as an unethical way of stopping crime, but without it, what are we going to do? Keep convicting murderers, rapists, and felons of the same crime just so they could get released from jail or put on parole, just to be let out and commit the same entire crime again. Think to yourself, how many times have you seen a murderer plead innocent because of insanity, and they are set free? The definition of insanity is stated by Albert Einstein as doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting the same results. And that's what criminals do. But when people who are let off to do this reason, what would make you think they would not go out and do the same crime again? As for me, a criminal will always be a criminal. Crime is inevitable, but we as a society can stop those terrible situations from happening some way or another. In many of our states, the death penalty is implemented, but is not strongly enforced. As for Colorado, where many of us live, as do I live, the level of use for the death penalty is Class 1 felonies, which include murder on the first degree of a first response member, first-degree kidnapping, child abuse causing the death of a child, assault before escaping, and treason. These sound like crazy ideas. These sound like crazy crimes, and they really truly are. So we need to enforce a strong rule of the death penalty and see what change in our country happens, or even in our own states. Let's start with one state, Colorado. Colorado has used the death penalty one time since 1977. There are 3 people still waiting on death penalty right now. One of those is the Aurora shooter, James Holmes, another Christopher Watts, who murdered his 2 children and his wife. So as we look around, we want to be safe. So as for societal part of this argument, if we enforce the death penalty on those committing the crime, this is where limitations of the penalty do come in. The justice system needs to enforce a stricter rule. Why do we keep letting felons walk and those who committed such a crime be put in jail? As said earlier, the punishment should fit the crime. An eye for an eye comes in, and I'm sure when you want to be with your family member, think about a family member on their deathbed, living a painful life. That's the same thing that goes with the criminals. They commit a crime, people have just lost their way of thought, and a lot of people just don't get that fact of ending that feeling. So with the death penalty, ending that way would be enforcing a stricter rule against those criminals and ultimately putting them to death due to an eye for an eye. So that is a phrase that everyone is most familiar with. This concept has existed since the start of mankind. Death penalty does play a contradictory role and tugs at the emotional side and political side of the United States, with the abstract thought that the death penalty could actually save lives, could lead to the opposing side believing the use of execution could substantially change our crime systems and ultimately deter crime rates. The slightest change in the situation could lead to a much larger picture of action being taken to stop such horrible crimes. Think about it. If you walk down the street, do you feel safe? Do you want to feel safe? I know sometimes I don't. Some people in other cities, other states don't. Texas has enforced the death penalty rule more than anyone. And Texas also has one of the lowest crime rates in all of the United States. So if we enforce this rate, this may change us as a society. The death penalty will provide a sense of security throughout our nation, allowing us to live a normal life and not be in constant fear that our life will be taken away in a moment. Also, if we detain and execute criminals of major crimes, this shows the criminals in our nation a thought in the back of their heads to not commit a crime. That is, why take another life, rather keep 2 lives intact and live a happy life. Providing the right amount of items to keep those safe, which may include the death penalty, could lead to a better society and a sense of security in our nation. Crime will always occur, but there is also a possibility of a way to control them. Death penalty has played a major role in the controversial argument, which is the death penalty good for our country, or could it ruin the foundation of our nation? The death penalty has allowed a debate of whether we should use execution murderers and rapists and second offense criminals. The deterrence of crime may be able to turn a major conflict into a minor social problem. Even though this death penalty sounds unethical, those ready to commit a crime should always have a thought in the back of their head that if they do carry out this plan, they could possibly be executed for it. What can we do to stop crime? The death penalty may possibly be the solution in this world at some point, where it is used thoroughly and effectively. The choice is left in the hands of fellow Americans. The choice is there. Make the change happen. Thank you.